presence of those cells. And so Mark, really talented student, carried out the experiment, was going through the analysis. He came to find me in another part of the lab and said, well, you know, I think there may be something wrong with the way I did the experiment. I said, okay, let me come and take a look. And I went to the machine where we do the readout, and he's like, I can't find any of the cells. And I made sure, and sure enough, he had done everything right. And I turned to him and I said, well, I guess you cured the leukemia. A eureka moment. How often does that happen in science? It was really remarkable and started us on a journey to understand how to implement CD47 blocking therapy, not just for AML, leukemia, but it turns out for many other cancers. Now, Stanford really enabled the next steps. We wanted to make a therapeutic that could go into patients. So we set up a team, we got funding from the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, and we conducted the preclinical development of an antibody suitable for human clinical trials and brought it into first-in-human clinical trials at Stanford, the first place where any patients were ever dosed with this type of therapy. Fast forward now many years later, the molecule, the drug, is now in late-stage clinical development in the hands of Gilead, a local biopharma company, and carrying out now late-stage trials with the hope of getting FDA approval so that this therapy can be available to patients throughout the country and world. And the most recent clinical data from the trials in myeloid diseases like myeloid leukemia, approximately 200 patients, has shown that about 70% of the patients treated with this therapy are having real responses, and about half of those are complete responses that have led some of those patients, thank you. Some of those patients otherwise ineligible for bone marrow transplant are going on to that therapy, and some of them are seeing long-term remissions. We don't like to use the word cure, but certainly we're optimistic these patients are really benefiting. So where do we go from there? That project and program is really advancing now in the arena of clinical development. And here at Stanford, I think about, well, what are we working on? Why Stanford for me? And I'll tell you, Stanford for me is all about how I love discovery and discovery science. And for me, Stanford is my love of mentorship, mentoring students, fellows, and even early career faculty members. But really, what it's about for me at Stanford is that I want to see our science translated to patients for their benefit. Now that notion, science translated to patients for their benefit, that is the ethos of Stanford Medicine. That is why we're here, and that's why Stanford is so special. Now, it's not only the CD47 program that we take science to patients. There are many initiatives now going on. The IMA, a new initiative through the School of Medicine and the university, trying to bring advances across a range of diseases, not just cancer, whether it be infectious diseases, cardiovascular, neurosciences, and other areas. In the Stem Cell Institute, and I'm delighted to say that I've recently stepped forward as the new director of the Stanford Stem Cell Institute. Thank you. And we're working on regenerative medicine and cancer stem cell related topics across a number of disease indications. And it's really my privilege and honor to take on this role after my mentor and colleague Irv Weissman founded the Institute and led it for 20 years. So who really knows what the future holds, but that's why they call it research. Thank you.
When I was 5 years old, I was totally enamored with Star Trek. I wanted to go where no man had gone before. I wanted to have Scotty beam me up. And I wanted to wear those ridiculously cool outfits that they wore on the Starship Enterprise. But most importantly, I actually wanted to be Dr. McCoy. At age